Hey guys, this is Flesh Paper, and this video is a little different. I don't normally try to make content that's pretty much everybody else's thing in Wii Series, but I did really just want to rank every single Wii Series game. Um, this video is actually really straightforward. I kind of wanted to try making a little bit of content for the first time in about 5, 6 years, but this video is pretty straightforward. I'm ranking every single Wii Series game. I am leaving out a couple in Wii Sports Resort because they weren't really. I didn't see them as actual games because you had to have another person to play with you. So I'm leaving out the cycling versus and the dogfight in Wii Sports Resort. Um, I do go really off the cuff here. This is about 57 minutes roughly about of me just talking about absolutely nothing about these games. Kind of. The way I ranked them was based off of how good were they to play casually, how good were they to me personally speedrunning, and just in general in the community, and based off of, uh, if they were actually good games in my opinion. All obviously, these games have a very special place in my heart. I've played all these games throughout my entire childhood, and I will always love every single one of these games. But there are a few that are just absolutely fucking terrible, and that needs to be said. A lot of people, a few people in the community are probably not gonna like where I put some of these games, but I did really just want to try to make some content. So I hope you enjoy the video, and until the next time I upload, which will probably be in a few weeks. Later. Honestly, tennis is. I mean, it's pretty good, but it's not that great. It was a very solid first game, but everyone kind of remembers it for the meme of "No You." It was a pretty solid game. I'm gonna go with C. Baseball, I mean, it's not a bad game. I think in terms of speedrunning sense, it is an absolute jail level, but replayability, you could always come back to this. It's not something that you could just, drop. It's always gonna have a special place in your heart. Baseball, though, in terms of speedrunning, it is possibly the simplest, but it is so hard to actually get out of baseball. It's crazy how hard it is to get out. So honestly, in terms of speedrunning alone, it's bad, but replayability is pretty good. So I'm gonna go with solid D. It's not that good, but it's not that bad either. Now bowling, speedrunning wise, you can just moonball it, get an easy, perfect game every time. Replayability, it's fun. Casually, always throw the ball backwards. So honestly, bowling's still pretty solid. Like it's pretty solid. I'll go with nice little beats here. Golf, honestly, it depends. Like if you run nothing but golf, it's pretty good. Like, golf in terms of speedrunning, it's a pretty solid game. It got harder with disconnect. Casually, it's not really the best game. No one really actually likes golf to play casually. Um, Speedrun wise, I mean, it's pretty fun, especially a vital part of all sports. If you run all sports, you have to learn golf. It's the easiest one to learn in personal experience. Golf is the easiest game to learn, but it's the hardest one to get good at. So I'm gonna go with a solid. Like it's better than tennis, but not by much. Tennis is also a jail level. I didn't mention that earlier. Tennis is such a jail level. Boxing, you don't really see a lot of it in all sports, but um, all pro, beat the champ, and beat all champs new game is absolutely crazy when it comes to boxing. So honestly, it's a pretty goated game. I'm not gonna lie, but boxing is absolutely goated. It's one of the few games that can actually still hold up to today in terms of motion control with a nunchuck and a Wiimote. So what we got now, it's like Wii Sports in general with motion control was ahead of its time, or at least with boxing with the nunchuck. Everything else, not so much. Golf can get really finicky. Tennis can get really bad. Bowling is actually really straightforward, but boxing is the only game out of OG Wii Sports that still holds good. It's great for speedrunning because it's almost always accurate. And its difficulty isn't that hard to learn either. Boxing is just absolutely the best game in all of OG Wii Sports. Resort, we got Duel. Duel Casual is just spam the ever-loving shit out of it. Just swing the Wiimote back and forth. It's so much fun to actually just do that. Speedrunning wise, it's also really quick, so I'm gonna judge this solely off of casual. It's not that bad, but like it's pretty boring because all you're doing is just spamming the Wiimote until someone wins. So replayability, not so much. Fun, yes, but it's not really replayable. It's kind of like baseball, but like it's a little bit worse than baseball, in my opinion. Like, it's a little bit worse than baseball. Then we got Speed Slice. Speed Slice is actually incredibly underrated, in my opinion. Speed Slice, as a speed category, is actually pretty good. You actually have to react to it, but later on, you start pause buffering, and that's when it starts to just come down to, hey, how fast are your reflexes and how much are you willing to push? How much are you willing to push into not pause buffering? So honestly, in terms of speed game, this is fun. Speed Slice is probably one of the more replayable games out of Resort in multiplayer, as a sense, in co-op. It is probably one of the more replayable games. So honestly, it's a really solid A tier, just a little under boxing. It's one of those where it's very replayable, but it's not the greatest game out there. But Speed Slice is a really respected game. Showdown, it's fun for the first few levels. Speedrun wise, there's some crazy tech I'm not a part of, so I can't really say for terms of speedrunning. But Duel is... Oh, not Duel. Showdown, I meant. Showdown. I don't know, it's kind of iffy. It's fun to go through. Leveling, I mean, it's kind of cool, but I don't know. There's something about it. Like, I don't really have an opinion on Showdown, so I'm giving it a C. It's not that good, it's not that bad. Replayability, it's not really there. Now, wakeboarding. Enough said. The only competition wakeboarding has nowadays is high score. And I'm pretty sure at this point level 1's closer to 39 and some change, 3,900 and change. But speed, it's an auto scroller. In all sports, it's an auto scroll. You literally take a break. You can drink some water, go to the bathroom real quick. It's an auto scroll. You're not really getting anything out of the game anymore. And high score is still pretty easy to go for. So wakeboarding is just not fun, especially in playability. If you play with 4 people, you're waiting 8 minutes. It's not fun. Wakeboarding is not fun. Frisbee Dog. See, now Frisbee Dog, it is pretty fun, honestly. Solo. What's solo? It's pretty fun, replayable. Not so much, honestly. Once again, if it's like 1-2 people playing, it's pretty replayable. It's man, in terms of speedrunning, like it's basically just how hard can you flick your wrist. I'm kind of clumping Frisbee Golf into this one too, but Frisbee Dog, I don't know. There's not much competition for it. It's not super replayable. I'm gonna say it's there. It's not that bad, but it's not that good either. Frisbee Dog is just one of those games. It's not that great, but it's not that bad either. Well, it's pretty bad, but it's not that great. It's fun, but it's not very replayable. Now, Frisbee Golf is extremely competitive speedrun-wise. It is incredible how crazy the competition is. Benson, that madman, I'm pretty sure is close to the sweep, if he doesn't have it already, for Frisbee Golf. It's pretty up there. Frisbee Golf, once you get the hang of it, once you actually figure out how to forearm the ball, not the ball, the Frisbee, it's not bad. It's pretty good. I think it's more, has more replayability than OG Golf, and you're able to go into it casually. It has slightly more replayability, so it's a solid B tier. Now, archery. Most people only remember archery for the hidden fruits and only play beginner. You don't usually play intermediate or expert, but everybody knows about the hidden fruits. And, some people try to go for it, pull up a guide. Yeah. Archery is pretty fun. It's very replayable. I find myself coming back to it a lot. Like, just recently, I started going for pro class. I'm trying to go for a sub 6. So, honestly, archery is kind of up there. With, I think it's better than OG bowling. Obviously, that doesn't mean mechanically, but archery is a really good and replayable game over and over, time and time again. It's a go-to classic. 3-point contest. Oh, 3-point contest. For having the record for over a year, almost going on 2, for speedrunning. I used to play this game non-stop just to go for a perfect game. This was before the new strategies. This was before I started speedrunning. This game would just be a go-to game. I don't think it's good, but I do have some comfort in this game. The replayability of it is a lot. Speedrun-wise, it's draining. I think it's better than Speed Slice. It's pretty solid ranking, for my opinion. It's pretty solid. Pickup game. See, now, what I think they suffered with the pickup game was the fact that you could only do so much. Like, once the new tech came out to basically guarantee that you're going to make the shot every time, it just became a, can you get better RNG? And back in the day too, this game was also a comfort game for me. It's kind of paired with 3-point contest. I would play some 3-point contest, and I'd hop into some pickup game with my brother. It's a staple. Pickup game is a staple in the resort game. It is really remembered. So of course its replayability is really good. In terms of speedrunning, it's an auto scroller. It's based on, hey, can you go 20-0 the fastest? Are you able to drown the clock better than everybody else? So speedrun wise, pickup game, not a great speed game. It's another auto scroller. But it is really good and really replayable. Say it's just, actually I'm going to say top B tier. Pickup game is top B tier in terms of replayability. Speed wise, that's where it lacks. I would say pickup game would be a top tier game, would be an S tier, if it wasn't 3 minutes. And the shot clock, it goes down 10 seconds for like the entire first 2 minutes. I think that's where they suffered the most. If they made it an actual 3-minute game or customizable, it could have been better. Return challenge. Nobody remembers return challenge, but everybody remembers Greg. This guy, everybody remembers Greg. Honestly, return challenge, there was a brief period in time where I took a break from 3-point contest back in the day, and I'd play some return challenge, trying to get all stamps, trying to get 999. The high score community isn't really there anymore. I think the current record on the board is 2,000 and some change. Not super high, but still very impressive. So honestly, replayability, not so much. Especially multiplayer-wise, it is not super replayable. Because you are just waiting for possibly 15, 20 minutes waiting on someone to finish. So honestly, that's what does it in for me. I think it's not the worst, but it's definitely not good. Now, going on to table tennis match. I couldn't remember the name for a second. This table tennis match is pretty renowned. It's really well known only because of Lucia and Akira. Akira, because from what people have said, Akira is harder to beat than Lucia. So replayability solo, incredibly. It's incredibly replayable. It's decently paced out. It's based on actual skill. With 2 people, of course it's replayable. If you want a longer, more intense game, hold down the 2 button, and everything is ×2. The ball speed is ×2, and the game goes to 11. Table tennis match is one of the more well-rounded opponents game in Resort. Much like Duel, it is really up there. It's good, but there's more people playing table tennis match than there are people playing. I think there's more activity in the table tennis community than there is in the frisbee golf community. All right, moving on to resort golf. Not quite the first thing I ever sped ran, but it's one of the reasons I did. Resort golf isn't for the replayability. It's a very solid. The RNG is very straightforward. If you're doing good, it's going to give you harder positions. If you're doing bad, it's going to give you easier positions. Talk about A and B pins here. Resort Golf is, in my opinion, the best iteration of golf that Wii Sports Series has ever seen. Even though I personally prefer Switch Sports Golf because it is very easy, but Resort Golf is very challenging for even the best people. But it's very replayable for most speedrunners. So honestly, it is possibly one of the best Wii Series games that we got. It is the best for speedrunners, and if you're even casual, it's the easiest to learn because you're not punished for being bad, but you're also not rewarded for being good. It's supposed to make you better. Resort Golf has got to be the best game out of all of Resort, in my opinion. It is possibly, if not the best game in all of Resort. Moving on to the first thing I actually speedran. It was Resort Superstar class. I don't know why my spin control's bending the whole time. But it was Superstar class. Bowling in Resort has the best physics overall. In 10-pin, it has the best physics. I don't know what the hell happened with Switch Sports Golf. Well, not Switch Sports Golf. Switch Sports Bowling. But Resort Bowling is the pinnacle of pin action and reliability. Replayability, it's the exact same as OG. Speedrun wise, it's even better because it requires actual skill. There's more things that you are able to do in this game than you were able to before. In OG, best you could do is just throw it straight. In Resort, you're actually able to curve the ball, and it's going to result in a very similar fashion every time. So honestly, I'm gonna say bottom A, maybe top B, but honestly, I'm gonna go with maybe a little over Speed Slice. 100 pin, kind of the same as OG, but not so much. The reaction wise, obviously, isn't going to be the same because the pin total is multiplied by 10. So honestly, it's the same thing in my eyes. 100 pin is the fan favorite that came back. Everybody loved power throws from the original Wii Sports training games. Everybody loved power throws and wanted it to be a full-fledged game. And that's what we got with Resort. We got a full-fledged game of it. This game is extremely replayable for the casual community. For the speedrun community, this game is still very playable, and it recently became competitive for a brief moment. This was one of the longest lasting records that I had before I ran 3-point contest. I had all stamps and pro class, which recently got beaten. But I had those records for a year straight. Resort 10-pin, 100-pin is really good. It's exactly what we wanted. But the thing where it suffers from 10-pin, is the 100 pins and the Secret Strike. The Secret Strike, yes, is cool. But if you know how to do it, it's a guaranteed perfect game. Slow, yes, but it's kind of cheesy. So, I'm going to say bottom A. I'm going to go with bottom A. spin control. I like the spin control. It's not bad, but it's pretty tricky. I think it's the ninth frame where you have two on the edges and then one in the center. That is possibly the hardest and dumbest thing about spin control. But it's like 10-pin. It's replayable, but it caters to the more skilled It's catered to the more skilled gamers. Speedrun wise, it also became a little competitive. Recently, the perfect game, perfect score for Resort just came out. Fastest perfect score. And right now, bowling happened to become the most popular sport. So, as of right now, when I'm recording this, spin control is kind of up there. But in terms of replayability for casual, it's not that great. Nobody really plays spin control. Everybody only remembers 10-pin and 100-pin. So I think spin control kind of falls down towards like bottom C, top D. I'm going with the top C, bottom C with this one. Power cruising. I have some history of power cruising. I absolutely hate it. I'm not even going to try to rank it. I just can't think of a fair way to rank power cruising because the only thing that power cruising has is people are trying to get a maximum skill. Like right now, it's only at like 2,300. You can't even reach max score in this. Playability, it's pretty impossible. I don't know how they took a step down from archery and just screwed over power cruising with motion control. You're in the same game. I don't know how they managed to make it worse. Power cruising is just one of the worst games in all of Wii Series. It is so bad. It is just motion control just makes zero sense. The skill graph makes zero sense. You can't even reach max XP like you can with most of these games. And I mean, it's the same thing with wakeboarding. You can't really get up there. Which, honestly, I'm starting to think I need to put wakeboarding a little lower. But power cruising is the worst game in all of Wii Sports Series. In the entire Wii Sports Series line. Well, there might be room for one more down there, but we'll get to that. Canoeing. Canoeing is mostly a speed game at this point. No one's really played it casually. I don't think anybody actually really remembers canoeing a part of this game at all. But honestly, it's from the times I've played it in all sports. I mean, it's good. You're able to learn it pretty quick, but the skill gap between learning the game and being good at it is so wide. You have to grind for so long. It's not really a category that you just be like, hey, let me try this out and see if I get better. It's like you have to already be good at canoeing to actually start playing it. So speed-wise, it's not very favorable. Casual-wise, it's also not very favorable. Go top F. Go with top F. Cycling. See, cycling is pretty enjoyable, honestly. I recently, with my all-pro run for OG and Resort, I actually had to get good at cycling. It's not bad. It's pretty replayable if you're able to Yeah, cycling's actually just straight out pretty replayable. There's no beating around the bush. Cycling's pretty replayable. The competition used to be a lot stiffer until Benson came around, but that's basically the entire story of Resort. Everything changed when Benson attacked. Um, Cycling is just one of those games. It's like it's replayable casually. I don't remember ever playing it, but cycling is just one of those games. I got no actual opinion on it. I think it's genuinely just going off of my experience with cycling. I think it's better than tennis, but worse than. But it is worse than OG golf. Not by much, but it is. I genuinely think cycling is just one of those games that, hey, I could pick it up and actually try to get good at it. Island flyover. This is what everybody remembers from Resort. So casually, it's up here. Speedrun wise, it's a 5-minute auto stroller. That's just how I see it. I mean, it's really cool to fly around the island and, go to all these locations. So then the game actually feels big and lived in. It actually feels like something's there. Other than, hey, look, let's go to all these places on this resort island. Island flyover, you can actually see everything and go to all these places. Speed-wise, though, it's an island. It's a 5-minute auto scroll. But honestly, it's not bad. It's great. It's a really good game, and it was really nice that they added this touch. Really makes up for how they did these next few games. Skydiving? I don't know how I feel about skydiving. It's the first game you go into. When you have zero data in the game, skydiving is the first thing you do. And you know what? It's really cool because they have, this whole ass cutscene. But basically, whatever you do in that cutscene doesn't even transfer over. It would have been cool if it was like, you got like a nice little stamp. If you got a stamp doing it too, there'd be like, oh yeah, here's 101 stamps, or you can unlock a collectible or something. I'm just saying. I'm just talking out my ass at this point. But skydiving overall, speed-wise, it's really good. Like, it's also an auto-scroller, but it's a skill-based auto-scroller. It's based off of how many clumps of people you're able to grab. Replayability, it's pretty replayable. Not super replayable, but it's pretty replayable. So, honestly, I think it's kind of like in the middle. It's more replayable than OG Tennis. And speed-wise, it's more skill than OG Tennis. Alright, let's move on to Club. Regarded as one of the worst games in Wii Series. Club Tennis. The way I feel about Club Tennis is like the only thing I don't like is that the single match games are up to 7. It's not the usual 15, 30, 40. But they force it 1 through 7. And at that, the timing for the power serve is pretty similar to OG. So that's still pretty good. It's got that Tekken feel where it's generational combo, kind of. But honestly, Club Tennis is really solid. Speed-wise, it is slower because there's more cutscene. But in terms of gameplay, it is a huge step up over OG. I think this might be better. It might be top C material. Club Tennis is top C material. Club Baseball. I didn't get to Club Baseball is just, it's not good. Like, it's really not good, because if you're playing co-op, all you gotta do is hit the bottom of the strike box, and it's a strike. So, in terms of speed running, it's pretty good. And I like that they use the gamepad kind of as the mechanic for it, but it gets really touchy with that because you don't know, um, casually, again, you don't know what button would actually pause the game and this and that. But mechanically, club baseball is slower than OG baseball. Like, it's not great, but it's definitely not good. Better than OG baseball. Club 10 pin. Club 10 pin is just really, really good. It is so much better than OG 10 pin in terms of physics. A lot of people recently have been saying that club physics are just bad in terms of bowling, but it's not. It's actually more realistic. But the gameplay overall in club is slower than the previous games. It's slower than OG. It's much slower than Resort. So club kind of turned it down a lot, but it is more realistic than it was for Resort. So speed-wise, once again, this is where a club suffers because of the terrible XP system. And the only way you can... In terms of all sports, it's really good. In terms of individual sport, it's not great. In gameplay-wise, it's really good. It's pretty solid. The HD, it's just really good. So, in terms of speed, speedrunning capability, it's pretty good. It's just a little slower. And by a little, I mean a lot, depending on what category you do. If you're running all sports, bowling's really solid, really quick, really reliable. If it's bowling individually, it's about an hour. So, honestly, in terms of speed capability, it's up here. But it's not. It's also just really good in general for casual. Because you're able to do more stuff. It's not as long, but it is still pretty replayable. Hunter pin is the same way as Hunter pin is really the same as it was with the other Hunter pin. So honestly, the only thing that's better is the updated graphics. So honestly, it will just go above it. It's the exact same. It's a copy and paste. It's not much better, but it's not worse. The only thing it has is the HD, which honestly, I think I'm gonna move Hunter pin down to like honestly right around there. I think I rated Hunter pin a little too highly, but Club Hunter pin. Yeah, like they're about B games. Like they're not great, but they're not like I know Resort was the fan favorite. Club was the HD port of OG. And OG was just really solid. But Hunter Pin was also just it was a really good game mode. Let's move on to spin control. Spin control, this was the one that I actually enjoyed the most out of the bowling. Because once, it's like the game was a little more challenging. I played a lot of spin control back in the day because I didn't know how the stamps worked. So I would go for barrier teaser, which is nicking every single barrier for every frame. And that took me about 3 or 4 months to get because I thought you had to chip it for the spares as well. But apparently you only had to do it once a frame. So replayability, it's there. Casual replayability, not so much. Speedrun replayability, also not so much. It is better than the original spin control. I would say. I know I said spin control is kind of bottom C, but I'm thinking more top D now. All right, let's get on to club golf. Now this I might get a little flamed about, but club golf, from what I've been told in the community, is the best physical gameplay in all of Wii series in terms of golf. It is the best. That is what I am told about club golf. But when I play it, I don't see it. I don't think club golf is the worst. Mechanically, it feels the worst. In my opinion, it feels the worst mechanically. It is. They made the game so much harder because they implemented the gamepad into it. They made it so that you had to see it using the gamepad, and it was just not a good idea. It really was not a good idea to have the gamepad. If there was an option to not use the gamepad, that would be a lot better. But pretty much every single game in Club requires the gamepad. And a lot of people do only buy, if they do get Club at all, they only get 3 sports. It's tennis, well, actually 2 sports, tennis or bowling. But most speedrunners only get golf, because every other game is ass, according to the community. But I don't see the appeal behind club golf. It's cool that you can play online, but that hardly ever worked. Even when the servers were actually good and you were able to play online, it was never usually that good. Club golf did open some opportunities that came down the road later, some years later, but it still wasn't that good. I just can't bring myself to have club golf that high. Like, it looks good graphically, but it's just not a good, like, casual. It's not a good casual. I can understand the speedrun competition aspect of it, but it's not that great. Like, I think it's like bottom C, maybe top D, honestly. I think it might be top D. Like, it is just not a good game. Now, I'm just gonna next game. Okay, this one doesn't really need to be talked about that much, but club boxing, they made a goated game bad. I don't know how they did it. I mean, I do know how they did it. They made you use 2 Wii Motion Plus inside, or 2 Motion Plus controllers. 2 of them. And at that, the gameplay would just feels like such dog shit. It is so damn bad. You could be punching straight out and it will not move. It is so bad. You have 2 Motion Plus controllers and it's not good. Hey, but you know what? There's another option. You can play one-handed, and the game's even slower. It is bad for speedrunning. It is bad for in general. And what makes it worse is that it brings down club baseball with it. It brings it down with it because if you want to play baseball, you have to get boxing as well. It is so bad. It makes 0 sense whatsoever. Club boxing is the biggest sham in all of Wii series. Moving on to my most played Wii Series game at this point, I think. Well, Switch Sports. Or go on to volleyball. Volleyball, I might as well. I don't know, man. Volleyball just any game that's get the ball over the net just seems bad because you can only go so fast. And Switch Sports made this game so that it's basically impossible to be fast. And all of this was for a Joy-Con. If they had made, like, I know there's probably accessories for this game, but I'm not sure what they were thinking with making the game so slow. It is nearly impossible to ace on volleyball. It is nearly impossible. You can do it, but it's really difficult. The timing for it is just not really there. So, casual playability, volleyball, if you have 4 people, go for it. It's very playable. So, in terms of casual playability, volleyball's good. In terms of speedrun capability, it's very hard. It can be done, but this is the first game that most people play in their all-sports speedrun. They will play, I'm pretty sure in this exact order, almost. They will either play golf or they will play volleyball first, which is really strange. But volleyball, in terms of speed, is just not good. But honestly, its replayability, if you have friends or if you're playing online, does bring it up. It's like, it's not great. I think let's go with bottom C. Like, it's not that great. It's not that good either. Let's go on to football, soccer, however it is said. This one, online, super, super intense in play. But knowing how online gameplay goes, your teammate's bad, the other team is good. Or at least that's what it feels like. If you were... It's good casual. Like, as long as you play online, and if you're like, 1 or 2 people and you play the game online, every single one of these games is really good for replayability, except for maybe badminton. But soccer is one of those where it's like, it's best played with friends. Like, if you're playing online, it gets boring after a while. Speed run wise, it's kind of RNG. We've kind of brought soccer all the way down to its limit at this point for every category. But it was very playable. All you have to do is really just brute force it. Anybody can learn this. It's not very difficult. So, in terms of playability, it's pretty good. In terms of speedrun ability, it's also pretty good. So, honestly, I think it's probably a B tier game. I think it's better than... Honestly, I think I'm gonna move. I think table tennis might actually have to go up. I'll fix it later. I'll fix it after I finish these guys up. Alright, next we got badminton. I genuinely hate badminton so much. Speedrun wise, it is really bad because it's a lot of RNG. You do this thing called challenge pissing is for volleyball. Badminton is just not really a good game, and that's kind of what Switch Sports had against it. Was it had 3 getting the ball over the net games. And badminton just was not one of those games that would be fun. Like, at all. I don't know. I got nothing to say about Badminton. I just don't think it's a good game in terms of speed run, in terms of replayability. It's not good. Badminton is just not good. Chambara. It wanted to be swordplay so bad, but it was worse. It was so much worse. You have to play it so slow. They got rid of the problem, yes, but they made the game unbearably slow. And if you block an attack, it's guaranteed you're getting pieced up. So, in terms of online play, it's cheesy. But also, it fixed the problem from Resort that I had earlier, where you could just swing the Wiimote around back and forth, and it's going to basically guarantee a win. But it is just Chambara is very cheesy. These swordplay games are very cheesy, but in playability wise, this one is better than regular Duel, but it is a lot slower. Speedrun wise, this also takes a hit because it is slower. In terms of all sports, it is probably really up there with Reset Heavy. But honestly, I'm pretty sure this is better than. I'll say middle D. It's about middle D. Switch Sports Bowl. Online, it is the best game for online. Honestly. Because this is one of those games where everybody sucks ass at, that it actually makes for good online competition. But the bowling physics in this one, I don't know how they go from club. I don't know how they go from resort to club, which was perfect, to whatever the hell this was. It makes zero sense. It makes no sense why they went from perfect to the pins just split apart. It's like they looked at OG and said, okay, let's make OG but worse. Like OG was even pretty solid, but this is so much worse. You can't even throw the ball backwards anymore. In terms of online play, it's good because you're able to actually have some fun competition with the game, but it can and will absolutely screw you over. So honestly, in terms of playability, it's good. Replayability, it's good. Speedrun wise, it can suck my left nut. It's about a middle C. Alright. Not club tennis. Switchboards tennis. It's up there. It's pretty good, honestly. It's not that great. Speedrun wise, it's not bad. The only downside is when you play online, you can get a grass court, which actually does affect ball speed and make it harder to score. So that does give some kind of competition for playing online. Playing casually, this is still a go-to classic. Everybody will still be playing a form of tennis. It can be table tennis, to OG tennis, to club tennis, to switchboards tennis. This game is still pretty replayable. Speedrun wise, it is actually probably one of the worst ones. They changed the timing so hard on the power serve and made the power serve basically useless because it is really difficult to be able to score off the ace, off the power serve. It's replayable. That's the only thing these switchboards games have on any other sport is its replayability. That's the only thing this game has on every other Wii Sports. It's replayability. So honestly, it's not much more replayable than Chambara, but it is. Yeah, I'll go with exact middle D. All right, now Switch Sports Golf. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's up there. The only thing that I have an issue with in Switch Sports Tennis, not Switch Sports Tennis, Switch Sports Golf, is the putting. Putting is the worst thing. I don't know how they managed to screw this up. They go from, I mean, all they had to do was look at Resort, because Resort was perfect golf. It was perfect. But Resort was perfect. I don't know how they managed to screw this up. They made golf more playable and more suited to everybody, because this is possibly the most played online game to bowl besides bowling. They made an assist mode, so if you're bad, you can try to get better, because hey, look, you're able to line up your shots and figure out how to do backspin, how to do front spin. You actually get to figure this out with assist, and it also helps out with speedrunning. It is really good. Like Switch Sports Golf is really good. Replayability, it's way up there, because this is one of those where it's like, you can restart and you can be like, oh yeah, I know how to do this, and I can line it up better, and it makes you better because you can have assist mode, or you can learn the seed that you were just playing and be like, hey, look, I got better because I learned its new setups. Switch Sports Golf was definitely designed for the younger audience to try to get better at games, but they also babied them with the assist mode. But the assist mode is what made this game so much better for speedrunning coming off Club. Club, where it was basically impossible to do anything, Switch Sports made it possible to do anything. So, honestly, it's a pretty solid A tier. I'd say it's better than... It's pretty up there. I'm going to do a little bit of tinkering with this, and we'll see how we come out to it. Boxing is an S tier game, in my opinion. In terms of speedrun, replayability, it's way up there. I moved up table tennis match and frisbee golf. Frisbee golf, I actually did change my mind a bit. There is a little bit more playability, and as long as you you try to get better, you can actually play the game. It's really easy to get a hole in one and make yourself feel better, and it's really good for speedrunning. I thought it was a little bit better than soccer, not by much, but just a little bit better. I moved up something else, I can't remember. But yeah, this is my tier list. I thought it was pretty solid. Hope I don't get flamed too hard about this one.